Okay, there we go. All the messages are sent out, and we're all set to begin. So let's see. Probably put this on Twitter, huh? Boom. Live streaming. Changeling of the... And then get a link. And there we go. Nope. Hello, Logan. Welcome. Welcome. What do you think of the place? I've put quite a bit of work into getting the stream set up this week, so it's not just boring the entire time. Hello. I can't wait to see what goes on. You can oh yeah. Should I wait for a couple minutes to surprise everyone all at once, or or should I do something less devious? Yeah, I forgot that I always start on that live stream page. Okay, so here we go. True. They should have been here if they wanted to watch the first of the stream. Why isn't that showing up? The chat should show up. I don't understand this. Like, why? Why isn't it showing up? Yeah, I know. Man, it took forever to find a typo counter. But for whatever reason, the chat doesn't want to show up. Which is super weird since it should, but I don't know. Like, any hints for that? Because I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. Should I do super complicated stuff with chat to make it work? I know, it's so rude of the chat. Like, it should be working. That's what annoys me the most about it, is because it should work. It just doesn't. And all it shows is a black screen. Like, what? What's the... OBS, why aren't you doing things? While I'm waiting for everyone to pop in here, I'll just see if I can just make a chat window appear through use of trickery. Ooh. Oh, that won't work. Crap. Because of how all this is layered, I can't put the chat window in. Oh, that sucks. No. Oh man, that's so rotten. So I guess we're just going to have a black window right there because I don't know why it's not working. Let's just say I guess not, no matter how prepared you are. Boom. Okay, there we go. Hopefully YouTube will get back to me. Or something, because that's such a big problem to not have the chat. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't work. If so, what? Okay, there we go. Now I remember. Something that I also remembered is that there's a lot of things in. There's like about 9 different places in chapter 4 that I have to re-record because of my mic going wonky. I was just listening through it. I'm like, curse you, microphone. Like you said, everything always goes wrong. But how you been doing today? Been about a week, so let's see. Huh. Oh yeah. Hey, Habit is here. Can't complain. Yeah. I'm still bummed out that the chat's not working. And just like, but it should. It should work. Yeah, I don't get it. Oh well. Maybe I'll have it fixed by next live stream. Cross our fingers. Well, because I'm not going to want to post the link every week because no one ever chats in the Discord. You just had to scroll up maybe like 5 messages, and then there was the link that I posted last week. like I'm just going to look, and like if I posted the link to the new chapter every week, it would just be like 5 messages, then the link, another 5 messages, and then the link. So I'm just like, it's not really needed. Yeah, well, I'll stop messing with seeing if I could get OBS to show the chat, even though it's just like, why aren't you showing the chat? Okay, but I guess we'll just get started then. Seriously, why? That's so weird. Sorry, I'm just trying to see who's with us because I just saw like we have 5 participants. I'm like, who? Anyway, let's find that idle voice. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds idly enough. I suddenly became aware of how very, very alone I was, and how much effort I expended into avoiding the thought. I had wandered into the desert, marched to exhaustion, slept, and marched again upon waking, walking headlong into the doom, saved only by the kindness of a species I would feed off of, some of whom helped me out of pity. Oh. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, man. It's not set up to my microphone. Oh, gosh. Oh, that was like so perfect, too. Ah, I'm sad. Oh man, this live stream is just hitting all the right notes, isn't it? Oh man, I got through nearly the entire thing first try. And watch, I'm gonna be spending like the next 5 minutes just rereading this. Yeah, my microphone and my computer decided to troll me. Oh man, as they do. As they tend to do. I suddenly became aware of how very, very alone I was, and how much effort I expended into avoiding the thought. I wandered into the... Contractions! Come on, Drake. Can't have those contractions. I suddenly became It begins. I suddenly became aware of how very, very alone I was, and how much effort I expended in... Actually, there's 2 contractions. Wait, is it not updating? Hold on. Boom. There we go. What? I just tested this morning. There we go. Oh man, again, all prepared and nothing's working. Okay. I'll have to keep an eye on that now. I say they count because a lot of times people... No, he just said he doesn't use it in his speech, but if he talks all formal like that when he's speaking, a lot of people speak how they think. I know some people don't, but yeah. Like, I wouldn't be like his medieval speak and then him having like... I wouldn't think he would have medieval speak, but at the same time, like, having like a more modern dialect full of stuff. Well, I do. That's the... And... Hello! Hello, Aster. Welcome to the live stream. Now, there's just only 2 in here. So far. 7 in total from what we counted last week. For I expended in... So, yes, they count. Because I say so. And remember, last week he gave me complete creative freedom over what happens in the story. So, and he immediately regretted it, but he didn't take it back. I suddenly became aware of how very, very alone I was, and how much effort I would expend into avoiding the thought. I had wandered into the desert, marched to exhaustion, slept, marched again upon waking, walking headlong into the doom, saved only by the kindness of a species I would feed off of, some of whom only helped me out of pity. Yay! Some of whom only helped me out of pity. Beady. Some of whom only helped me out of pity. Some of whom only helped me out of pity. I suddenly became... Okay, I'm just checking the beginning of every clip because I don't want to run into more crackly mics and have to record huge sections of this. Because after this live stream's over, I'm still going to be recording. It's just going to be re-recording the last chapter. I shuddered at even the... But yes, how is everyone doing today? Or tonight? Or whatever time zones allow. Whatever your time zone looks at. I shuddered at even the memory. I'm curious. Which sounds better? I shuddered at even the memory of the emotion? Or I shuddered at the very memory of the emotion? Because I've heard it both ways. But I just don't know. What do you guys think? Because either sounds right, but I feel like one sounds more right, although that could just be bias from all the other fan fictions I've read. Helped me out of pity. Just get rid of that so I know where I'm at. I shuddered at even the memory of the emotion. I shuddered at the very memory of the emotion. I shuddered at the very memory of the emotion. I'll go as written. They both sound okay. I shuddered at even the memory of the emotion, cloying and almost slimy, horrible and disgusting. Sympathy I could tolerate. Roughshot had shown me the difference in the two. He liked things quiet and simple, with little fanfare, and only as many ponies as present required. He liked things quiet. Yeah, that turned into a... Whew. My tongue tripped over itself, too. He liked things quiet and simple, with little fanfare, and only as many ponies present as required. As required. Ooh, get out of here, battery. Why are you even on my desk? He liked things quiet and simple, with little fanfare, and only as many ponies present as required. An appreciative changeling-like pony, though with a little more anger than appropriate. An appreciatively changeling-like pony, though with a little more anger than appropriate. And appreciatively... Man, that word. And appreciatively... An appreciatively changeling-like pony, though a little more anger than appropriate. I supposed he had made a fine warrior drone, and the thought only made me feel that much worse. I suppose he would have made a fine warrior drone, and that thought only made me feel that much worse. I was a changeling, and was so flawed that I was no longer part of the hive, and in the short time I had been amongst a small group of ponies, I had found I had already found several more suited to my old life. Oh, did you? We have a typo counter now, and it's not anything big. It's just contractions, which doesn't really. I don't know. It just doesn't fit with his more archaic speak. It like he speaks like nearly like archaically, but at the same time his thought process is more modern. It just doesn't, for me, it just doesn't make sense, the complete difference there. Maybe once he's like, maybe after the 10-year time skip, once he's more used to pony society, but as of right now, he doesn't really know all that much. Well, why do you think I have you facing off and you just like staring angrily at the typo counter? Ooh, I love astronomy. Although it's funny because the my character backstory, as cliche as it might be, as him being an all powerful being and whatnot, he's a spirit of the ever free forest, which I haven't ever seen done in fan fiction before, but I've seen like Guardians of the Everfree, which is more talking about like Timberwolves and something and stuff like that. But having an actual spirit, like they have a spirit of chaos, why not a spirit of nature? No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a mare. It doesn't have to be Mother Nature. Just I haven't watched that EQG, but doesn't that only happen in the Equestria Girls world and not in Equestria? Because I think they would have mentioned it if they found someone in the Everfree that controls the entire Everfree. Yeah, Brother Nature. More like a steward of the forest, in all honesty. I mean, it could be the reason why no one's been able to clear it out in centuries. So you never know. Big Spirit is always watching. My old life. Oh gosh. This was what I deserved. A barren wasteland full of angry animals, thorny plants, and worthless dirt. I shouldn't even go back to the caravan. It was a pointless charade. Being a pony hurt in ways as I hadn't... Ooh. Being a pony hurt. Being a pony hurt. Oh, right in the pony feels. Being a pony hurt in ways I hadn't expected. Ponies made things complex on purpose. I just did not understand. Ponies made things complex on purpose. I just in ways I hadn't expected. I tapped against my microphone by accident. Or my headphones. Ah. Charade. There we go. Hey, we're making a lot more progress than we did last week. It took like an hour for us to finish the first paragraph. Now it's only a half hour. Being a pony hurt in ways I hadn't expected. Ponies made things needlessly complex on purpose. Ponies made things complex on purpose. I just did not understand. Boop. Ponies made... Okay. Pony. Pony. I don't know how long I grieved for my losses. I realize now that walking into the desert as I had was an attempt to flee from it, but as all with... I don't know how long I grieved for my losses. I realize now that walking into the desert as I had was an attempt to flee from it, but as with all pain, it had to be felt eventually. It had finally caught up with me. To be truthful, I did not know what... To be truthful, I did not... Boop. To be truthful, I do not know that I could have put these realizations off for much longer before I succumbed to the emotional poison. Ooh. To be truthful, I do not know. To be truthful, I do not know that I could have put off these realizations off. I could not put off these realizations off for much longer off. Oh no. Dude. I don't know what I did. Hopefully it wasn't anything that broke stuff. Because... 2.5 hours on this already. Don't want to lose all this progress. To be truthful, I do not know that I could have put off these... See, it's this modern speak getting in the way of Idle's more archaic thoughts process. So... So, like, that's just the reason. Maybe after the 10-year time skip, I'll just let it slide because Idle might have gone more native. Idle's gone more native by then. So, it would make sense. It makes sense a little bit. Not much, but a little. Understands contractions, but doesn't understand pony interaction. Oh, no. I'm not putting him in a Cockney accent. Oh. Mainly because I don't know how to do a Cockney accent. I heard it done once. And it's something about the chin or something like that. And so, unless you want him to randomly switch accents every 5 seconds. He's from the Midwest. Should it just be the West? I say it kind of falls in the weird, like, in-between area. Nah, I think it's West. Yeah, it's definitely West. A West accent. To be truthful, I do not know that I could put these in To be truthful, I do not know that I could have put off these Oh man. To be truthful, I do not know that I do not know that I could have put off I do not know that I could have put these realizations off for much longer. Oh man, that's just twisted in so many ways. You're getting a Cockney accent for me failing to read this one sentence. To be truthful, I do not know that I could have put these realizations off for much longer. To be truthful, that's a little bit close. To be truthful, I do not know that I could have put these realizations off for much longer before I succumbed to the emotional poison. This is going to be the worst Cockney accent anyone's ever heard, but this is the closest I'm going to get. And even then, it sounds more southern or rednecky than anything else. I just don't know how to deal with this. So, no Cockney accent. The only foreign pony in here is Pipsqueak. And Honeydew. Those are like the only foreign accents I'm going to be doing. Because, oh gosh. Keeping all those straight would just be, ooh, terrible. Though the pain was still there, it felt lessened by having recognized it. But walking blindly into the future was foolish, and I would do it no longer. But walking blindly into the future was foolish, and I could not do it any longer. But walking blindly into the future was foolish, and I would not do it no longer. I would not do it no longer. All those double negatives for everyone. But walking blindly into the future. But walking blindly into the future was foolish, and I would do it no longer. There were several truths I had to face. I was without a hive. There were several truths I had to face. I was without a hive. But walking blindly into the future was foolish, and I would do it no longer. So anyone had something exciting happen this week? I know I have a pretty big story to tell that happened to me yesterday. And I'm just, whew. It's a huge doozy. But anyway. But yeah, if you have anything that you wish to share, let me know. And I shall. And I'll share mine too, because why not? Ooh. I love cheese. Cheese is like the best. Why isn't that exciting? Nice, nice. Oh man, speaking of Pokemon, has anyone watched Detective Pikachu yet, and all the nightmare fuel that is within that show? Especially Mr. Mime. Like, Mr. Mime and Psyduck, I found were... Ooh. And, yeah, that does sound good. I've just been eating cheddar. I just buy cheddar. I buy this brand called Tillamook. And it's like the best cheese that you can get in the West. It's like made in Oregon. It's so good. Like, I'm not talking about like the show itself as being bad. I'm just the live action-y animation is just terrifying. Like, oh gosh. There's a reason why people are just like posting just screenshots of that of that and like putting people like banishing demons and stuff like that, because it's terrifying. Like, like, oh gosh, he's so terrifying. I'm posting one in the Discord because, like, it is so bad. like like it looks great, but it's terrifying. Yeah. So I'll let you guys know what happened to me this weekend as well, since you've told me what happened to you last week. So I was doing my usual deliveries that I do, like Friday night or something, and my brakes stopped working in the middle of a delivery run. I went to brake at a stoplight, and I got nothing from them. Luckily, like, quick thinking, like, saved me from crashing into anyone. And I completed the delivery, went back to the store, and, like, I couldn't drive for the rest of the night, which saddened me because I made nothing for the rest of the night. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to have to spend more money to get my car fixed so I can do my job. But this isn't the exciting bit yet. So we close on Friday. Get her out around 2:30 or so. I call a tow truck through my insurance and whatnot, and they're not going to be, and they don't arrive, and they say they won't arrive until 5:30. So I'm like, oh, great. So I wait for like 3 hours or something like that, and they're not there. And I call the guy who's supposed to be doing the job. He's like, yeah, I'm close. I'm about 10 miles away. Another hour later, so 6:30 rolls around. About to call him again, and then he shows up. He takes me down the block to the repair shop, and drops me off and whatnot. I'm like, okay, good. So I see the repair shop opens in an hour. I'm like, okay. Walk across the street, get some breakfast because I'm starving. Been working for like 9 hours or so. So I come back. Shop's still not open. I misread the operation times. Apparently they don't open for another hour. So I just sit in my car, read some stuff. Just so tired the entire time. and then as soon as the shop opens, I walk in, hand over my keys, and said, I just need my brakes replaced. I have spares in my trunk. So I just sit down, hoping that it's just going to be a quick fix and I can go home and get some sleep. It wasn't that. 4 hours later, the shop's finally done with my car. Just 4 hours. I don't get, and as soon as they're done, I like peel out of the shop because I'm still in my work uniform. I haven't had a chance to go home and do anything because I thought it was just going to be a quick fix, and they didn't let me know when my car would be in. Which is really strange because I've used this repair shop for years and they've never done that to me before. But I finally make it home and I pass out at around 11 in the morning. And oh man, I sleep for the entirety of the rest of the Saturday because I'm just so tired because I've been up for like over 24 hours just trying to deal with the shipwreck that my car turned into. Luckily though, the only thing I needed to pay, I didn't need to pay for the tow truck because I was covered, and I guess they didn't charge me for labor. at the repair shop because they made me wait for 4 hours. I don't know. But, oh gosh, yeah. It was so bad. It was so bad. So, hopefully, I'll be able to get back into a regular routine soon and explain to, like, everyone at work, like, why I missed my Saturday shift. Mainly because I was up for so long. Oh, man. But anyway. But anyway, that was my... Yes, it was still free. Which shocked me, but at the same time, I was just done. I was just done with everything. I could barely keep my eyes open, and I drove the rest of the way back to my apartment. Just, like, passed out. It was... Oh, boy. That's, like, my first, like epic, like, adventure with my car. But... hopefully, cross fingers, knock on wood, and all that deal, all that goodness, that will never happen again. Please, just for my sanity's sake. But yeah, that was my Friday. That was my Saturday adventure, which wasn't an adventure. But oh man, so bad, so bad. Anywho, I knew nothing of the details of his Hey, you don't come to hear me talking about what crazies life throw at me. Let's hear about all the crazies life throws at Idle instead. I knew nothing of the details of his successful infiltration, and thus would have to watch my step. I knew nothing of the details of his success. Man, simple words. Successful. Of his successful infiltration. I knew nothing of the details of its successful infiltration, and thus would have to watch my step. Perhaps the most painful realization was that Sandy would have to vanish. I cracked my voice. I'm still going through puberty, even after all these years. Perhaps the post-painful... Just make this into a tongue twister. Just... Ooh. Or alliteration. Just have this all be alliteration. Perhaps the most painful realization was that Sandy would have to vanish. I could not afford... Sentence at a time. We'll do this a sentence at a time. I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. Should there be a comma there? I feel like there should be a comma, like, right here. That's up for you to decide. Would apparently give me I could not afford to... Typo or not, you decide. I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. Yeah, it's missing something. I don't know what, but something. I mean, aren't just commas there to help break up the sentence structure to find the natural pauses in a sentence? Like, I don't know. Maybe? Eh, unless someone comes up with a better explanation. I wish I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. Hey, Fractal! I know. Yes. Don't you mean Cinnamare Sinnings you? Maybe we'll get attention from Little Shy if we mention him enough. I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. As Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. Like, I feel like there should be some form of something. No, that's what he calls his show, Cinnamare Sins. I can't help that he created a great pun. And if you don't know about Little Shy FIM, shame on you. He's great. He's up to like season 4 now? Yeah, season 4. He's great. It's so fantastic. I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. Or, I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their... No. Comma. It's true. By just like necessity of this having to be broken up. It needs a comma. Just it just works better that way. I'll send you a link in the Discord. Is really good. He's actually been on a few Bronies React too, because you know, it's just what happens. His channel name is called okay, it's there in the Discord for everyone to read. He also makes like the top 10, like, what is it, like top 10 pony videos each month. Like I said, between myself and as Canterlot, mainly because that's just a natural break. I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. Or, as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to remember. Just like emphasis is subtle. Just like right here, because this is technically a complete thought. And then to just not make it a run-on sentence, then you add on this. So that's my reasoning. Take it or leave it, but that's my reasoning for why there should be a comma right there. Just mainly to help it make sure there's not just like a block of text. Like some sentences that works, but the sentence does need a comma there, just to help the flow. I could not afford to draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would apparently give me in their attempts to help me remember. Yeah, because like it just doesn't flow right. To myself as Canterlot would apparently give. Draw so much attention to myself as Canterlot would. Ooh, that's a second. Yeah, like, it just... If you're reading it as is, it just kind of seems like he's talking about Canterlot being its own entity, And then he explains why, and it's just like, just needs to be broken up just a little bit. So that's my reasoning. Take it or leave it, but that's what I find is easier when reading. By necessity, I would have to cut short my stay with this caravan. The very idea of being alone again in that way was frightening. By necessity, I would have to cut short my stay with this caravan. The very idea of being alone again in that way frightened me, but the pony I had established myself to be required assistance. The very idea of being alone again in that way frightened me, but the pony I had established my... But the pony I had established myself to be required assistance. But the pony I had established myself to be required assistance. Like this, and plus, this just shows we care. Like pointing out all these typos, just be like, this story is so great, but just a little bit more, and it can be perfect. I could even potentially put the caravan itself at risk if my secret were discovered. The thought of Zamer, Wasta, or any of them being held liable for my incursion into Equestria Torret. No interrupted flow there. It's just my it's just my tongue being stupid. Dance. Wait, what did I do? Dance. This is why editing takes so long. I just have too much fun. I could even potentially put the caravan itself at risk if my secret were discovered. The thought of Zamer, Wasta, or any of them being held responsible. The thought of Zamer, Wasta, or any of them being held liable for my incursion into equestrian territory was appalling enough. The thought of Zamer, Wasta, or any of them being held liable for my incursion into equestrian territory was appalling enough to make my chitin, not chitin. I've been reading it as chitin for 4 years now. But no, it's chitin. And I should know this. But I have to record one of the sections I messed up on in the last chapter. I have to re-record is me mispronouncing chitin. And no one caught it, so man, there should just be should make my own live streaming sins, and it's just going to be me dinging up every time I make a mistake. The thought of Zamer, Wasta, or any of them being held liable for my incursion into equestrian territory was appalling enough to make my chitin itch, and it was, unfortunately, entirely possible that the caravan members unfortunately, entirely possible that the caravan members themselves would harm me. I did not relish the thought of bringing them harm, but I also saw no reason to allow them to do me injury either. Leaving then, I would be required. If I could restore my false form by morning, I would return and begin gathering my things. Messed up so many times. I did not relish the thought of bringing them harm, but I also saw no reason to allow them to do me injury either. Injury either. I could not allow them to do me a startle either. I did not relish the thought of bringing them harm, but I also saw no reason to allow them to do me injury either. I did not relish the thought of bringing them harm, but I also saw no reason to allow them to do me injury either. Leaving them would be required. If I could restore my false form by morning, I would return and begin gathering my Oh man, Displaced Gilgamesh is so good. I haven't read his second book that he put out. But I just love how in the beginning he got past an entire army of guards by just doing something so absurd their brains stopped working for a good 5 minutes. Yes, you can't go anywhere without a musical number. It's against the rules. I figured, since it's going into war, and I kind of just glaze over fight scenes in general, mainly because I can't do points of reference in my own mind, so it's just a giant slap fight. Even if it's well described, I cannot hold the fight scene in my mind. Seriously, dude? I'm recording. Stop revving your engine outside my window. Of course he's blasting Queen. Why wouldn't you? Queen's great. Has anyone seen Bohemian Rhapsody yet? I did not relish the thought of bringing them harm. Leaving, then, would be required. You got an extra comma there. It just... Leaving would be required, leaving then would... I don't know, it just makes that unnecessary pause right there when it should just be leaving then would be required. Leaving then would be required. Because he's kind of just like already decided, but just be like, leaving then would be required. Or just get rid of all this and just put leaving would be required. Leaving would be required. Like, I don't know. I would return and begin gathering my If I could restore my false form by morning, leaving them would be required. Leaving them would be required. Leaving them would be required. Yeah, it just doesn't fit. I don't think. Leaving then would be required. Leaving then would be required. Leaving then would be required. I don't know. Could go either way. Leaving them would be required. Maybe that second comma. I think that makes sense. Anyone let me know if I'm not making sense. Leaving them would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Either way, you have an extra comma there. So, we all know what that means. And here we have broken into the double digits. Such a fanciful height to view the world down from. I'm going to reset the counter at the beginning of every chapter. Oh man, it's the counter's too small. It can't handle double digits. Can I fix? There we go. And just bump that over a bit and boom. Make my story perfect retroactively. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing, right? I'm letting you know all the errors I find, and then you can fix them. Because some of the things are so small that you wouldn't even notice if you had both versions of your thing, unless you had like a program that compared the differences. But yeah, this sentence could go either way. Leaving would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Now that last one doesn't work. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Actually... Ah! Oh no! Don't fall! Keeping on my stream through my tablet, but... Oh gosh. Stop falling off my desk. Leaving, then, will be required. Not sure about that one. Leaving, then, will be required. Leaving, then, would be required. I don't know. I just can't decide on how that should be read. Leaving. Leaving, then. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that second comma does deserve to be there. I can admit when I'm wrong, but I don't know. That's the thing, is I just don't know. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then, would be required. So many different ways to say just a single sentence. And change the entire tone. Leaving, then, would be required. Leaving, then. You're probably just sick of hearing me just repeat this one sentence over and over. Leaving, then, would be required. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. That just makes sense to me. Leaving, then, would be required. If I could restore my false form by morning, I would return and begin gathering my things. If I could not, they would have to be given up as lost, but the queen had given me that pouch. For reasons I couldn't quite grasp, I did not want to leave it behind. The bucking, leave! Shoo, get out of here! Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Just... I did not want to leave it behind. Perfect timing. Just It's oh man. Oh man, everyone left. I'm sad now. Oh wait, no. Oh, that's so weird. It says on here that only 2 people are watching, and then when I full screen, it says 6 are watching. What's going on? It was with these thoughts that I eventually drifted off into a troubled slumber, watching thick stray clouds roll across the late night moon. The cocoon was wonderfully smug. The cocoon was smug. Hey, we're up to 7 now. Woo! It was with these thoughts I eventually drifted off into a troubled slumber, watching thick, stray clouds roll across the late night moon. The cocoon was wonderfully snug, and I was vaguely pleased to nestle into one again. Stumble, and I stumble. We may stumble, we may fall, but there's a light that shines within us. The smugglings. The arch enemy of the changelings, because they're just so smug all the time. Their faces are just permanently in a smug grin, like they know more than you do. It was with these thoughts that I eventually drifted off into a troubled slumber, watching thick stray clouds roll across the late night moon. The cocoon was wonderfully snug, and I was vaguely pleased to nestle into one again. Yay! Full paragraph. Okay, I'm just like, wait, I thought he sealed the cocoon. Nope. Nope, that's just me forgetting what happened last week. I awoke with a splutter, now panicking without regard for propriety. Man, I haven't seen something like that in forever. I awoke with a splutter, now panicking without regard for propriety. I awoke with a splutter, now panicking without regard for propriety. He's just going to maintain a calm monotone through his panic. There was fluid in the cocoon. Cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases I heard roughshod use, I burst out of my hiding spot, staring at the world around me even as the remains of the light rain falls rinsed the sand from my shell. With some cursing myself for a fool with very expressive phrases I had learned from roughshod's use. I had heard roughshod use. With several very expressive phrases I had heard roughshod use. That looks right. It just doesn't sound right. Am I crazy? I'm probably crazy. Maybe? I don't know. Of the light rain. I burst out of my hiding spot, staring at the world around me, even as the remains of the light rain. I don't know. I don't know. I'll leave it as is. Propriety. There was fluid in my cocoon. There was fluid. Ah! There's fluid. Not the good kind either. There was fluid in my cocoon, cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive. At least I know I'll be able to do twist if we ever see her in the story. There was fluid in my cocoon, cursing myself for a fool with several. There was fluid in my cocoon, cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases I had heard Roughshod use. I don't know how to pronounce that. I want to read it out, but I don't know how to pronounce that. We call those cocoonoids. Cocoonoids. Just call those cocoonoids. Really? No. Sarcastic is like... Ow! I mean, he makes unintentional puns all the time, and he just doesn't realize it. Got it, ids. Cocooids. We call those cocooids. Really? No. There we go. There was fluid in my cocoon, cursing myself for a fool with several very cursing. Every time Idol makes a pun, Wasta cheer. Wasta gets immortality. Don't forget all the innuendos. We can't forget all the innuendos. Cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases that... Cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases that I had... Several very expressive phrases I had heard Roughshod use. I think there should be a comma here. Right here. I don't know. That's mainly just used to split up the structure than actually providing a pause. Cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases I had heard. Cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases I had heard Roughshod use, I burst out of the hiding spot, staring at the world around me, even as the light remains of the rainfall rinse the sand from my shadel. I don't know, I'll leave that yeah, I know. I'm either adding in a word that's not necessarily there, that needs to be in there. Or there should be a comma and another word in there. Cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases. Man, that is going to kill me. Cursing myself for a fool with several very expressive phrases that I had heard Roughshod. Several very expressive phrases that I had heard Roughshod use. Yeah. Yeah, that works. That definitely works. Maybe I should open like a Google document, just like type out all the typos at this paragraph, at the third paragraph in the 5th chapter. This happened. Cursing myself for a full with very that is going to kill me. That's going to kill me so hard. There we go. Cursing myself for a full with very it's that page break. It's that sentence break that's killing me, since it's a small word with a very big word, even though I know that very big word. Cursing myself for a full with several very expressive phrases that I had heard roughshod use, I burst out of my hiding spot, staring at the world around me even as the remains of the light rainfall rinsed the sand from my shell. Whew! Finally! Cursing myself for a full with several very expressive phrases that I had heard roughshod use, I burst out of my hiding spot, staring at the world around me even as the remains of the light rainfall rinsed the sand from my shell. Yay! I'll take it. I'll take it. Oh my gosh. I'll definitely take that. I'm like, oh man, that's a huge sentence. No. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. The sand, the horrible, horrible sand, had flowed into patterns, swirls, and dips and sprays carried by the water. The sparse vegetation around me, previously brown and much of it withered, had taken on a more vibrant cast. Into patterns. The sand, the horrible, horrible sand, had flowed into patterns, swirls, and I miss the emphasis, and it deserves to be in there. Into patterns. The sand, not the sand. No, not the sand, not the sand. Ah, my eyes. There are my eyes. Ah, just go full. Chitin, Nick Chitin. What is he playing? What is he playing at? Awesome. That's so good. I mean, why not? Wait for all this to load, because we've talked a lot this stream. The sand, the horrible, horrible sand, had flowed into patterns, swirls, and dips and sprays carried by the water. The sparse vegetation around me, previously brown, swirls and dips and sprays carried by the water. The sparse vegetation swirls and dips and sprays carried by the water. The sparse vegetation around me, previously brownish, and not much of it withered. I don't know, that just seems like the perfect music for like a Mexican standoff. All you need now is like the eagle in the background. Swirls and dips and sprays carried by the water. The sparse vegetation around me, previously brownish and much of it withered, had taken on a more vibrant cast. Swirls and dips and sprays carried by the water. The sparse vegetation around me, previously brownish and much of it withered, had taken on a more vibrant cast. Several had even begun to flower, and I stared around me in amazement, wondering at first if my cocoon had been carried off. I took a tentative step into the wet sand, and paused as it settled easily instead of sinking in. Was it just to confuse everyone again? Because I just love how he Gangnam styled past a whole platoon of guards. And they were just so shocked by the absurdity of it that he completely got away with it. Very, very true. I wonder, are you reading the first story or the second story? Because if you're reading the first story, I think I might remember that scene. But if it's from the second story, I'm just crazy. I scooped some of the wet sand into a hoof, shaping it, forming a ball easily. Why, this was delightful. I wondered if there were... This was wunderbar. Ooh, Son of Invention. I love Son of Invention. I wish it would update. It's so good. There's so many good displaced stories that never updated again, and I'm so sad because they're fantastic. I scooped some of the wet sand into a hoof, shaping it, forming a ball easily. Why, this was delightful. I wondered if there was some other way to make the material. I scooped some of the wet sand into a hoof. I scooped some of the wet sand into a hoof, shaping it, forming a ball easily. I don't know why you hit spam limit. You're not spamming. It's not the same thing over and over. Like, I don't get YouTube sometimes. I just don't. I get 3 messages a minute, according to YouTube. Woo! Shaping it, forming a ball easily. Yeah. And I know I can put Discord chat into I know I can get a pop-out chat for Discord. But it's a lot more work than just using the pop-out chat that YouTube has. And plus, yeah, it actually counts towards like comments and whatnot, so it doesn't seem like I'm posting for no one. Like without these like live streams that I do, like watch time would be like at like 3 minutes, and like I would have like 5 comments in total. But with this, I have like almost 1,500 watch minutes, just because so many people want to listen to me just blunder through this. Why, this was delightful. I wondered if there was some way to make the material. Why, this was delightful. Why, this was a cracking voice. Why, this was delightful. I wondered if there was some way to make the material that shaped this easily on a constant basis while retaining some structural integrity. Why, this was delightful. I wondered if there was some way to make the material that shaped this easily on a constant basis while there was some way to make the material that Yep, add an extra word in. Why? Why? Why do you do this to me? How could this happen to me? Oh, gotcha. Yeah, like, I guess they don't want you posting links, and I don't know how to change it. Because I don't have it, I have the setting turned off. So I don't know. Why, this was delightful. Why, this was delightful. I wondered if there was some way to make material that shaped this easily on a constant basis, while retaining some structural integrity. On a constant basis while retaining some structural integrity. The way the ball began to melt in my hoof made me doubt it, but still, but crack. And like that, I cracked. The way the way the ball began to melt in my hoof made me doubt it, but still, I looked up into the sky as the rain lessened. As the rain lessened still. I don't know if you need that. I don't know if you need that second still in there. I looked up to the sky as the rain lessened, the clouds drifting off. A stray rainstorm, Zamaris had said. I looked up into the sky as the rain lessened still, the clouds drifting off. It can go either way. Oh, the dual music got removed on YouTube. Oh, that sucks. Some structural integrity. The way the ball began to melt in my hoof made me doubt it, but still, I looked up at the sky as the rain lessened still. Yeah, that second still. The way the ball began to melt in my hoof made me doubt it, but still, I looked up at the sky as the rain lessened still. Yep. Unnecessary still there. Mostly because these stills are just too close together or something like that. 12 typos. The way the ball began to melt in my hoof made me doubt it, but still, I looked up at the sky as the rain lessened, the clouds drifting off. A stray rainstorm. Zamir had said they were uncommon, but not unexpected. A stray rainstorm. Zamir had said they were Zamir had said they were uncommon, but not unexpected. She had plans to catch as much of it as any pony could, and I hoped she succeeded, but that likely meant my disappearance had been Hello, Esther, welcome back. Zamir had said they were uncommon, but not unexpected. She had plans to catch as much of it as any pony could, and I hoped she succeeded. But that likely meant my disappearance had been noticed hours prior. Oh, come on. We're so far away from the end of the chapter. I don't want to make this a part 3. I might have to go over my 2-hour limit that I have for this, just because I want to finish off this chapter. It doesn't seem that much longer than the other two, but I don't know. Cautiously, I braced myself and attempted to retake the form of Sandy. I felt the lick of fame, that horse fame, though. I felt the lick of flame as my body shifted and twisted slowly, filling into the Pegasus form. The transformation slowed at my The transformation slowed at my upper torso, and I had to close my eyes to concentrate, compress the horn, feather the wings, and done. I looked down at myself and scowled. I wasn't white, more of a beige. I liked the way the sand had changed, but this was unacceptable. Well, for now, the fur... well, for now, my throat gets clogged up with just how crackly it's going to be. Well, for now, the fur colors... But this was not acceptable. Well, for now, the fur... Well, for now. Excuse me. Nice. I don't think I've heard of this song before.
When it's time to party, we will party hard.
I'll have to remember that. That's awesome. That's an awesome music. Well, for now, fur the color of sand might make for very effective camouflage, and I would have to recall this later. A minute later, and pristine white fur again coated my body, and I felt that I was well on my way to recovery, as far as my horn went. Perhaps I had only overreacted. I shaved a bit of sand over my shattered cocoon, obscuring it from view, and began the flight back to the caravan. I saw a roughshod wandering over the wet sand, moving in the general direction of my cocoon. The grizzled, older pony seemed quite displeased, and the rain clearly hadn't cooled his ire at the world in general. I believed I might have actually heard him muttering to himself even before I laid my eyes upon him. I landed behind him and walked a few steps behind him. Yep. I believed I might have actually heard him muttering to himself even before I laid my eyes upon him. Yep, just have an extra behind on there. Not too bad, but still, another one for the typo counter. I landed behind him and walked a few steps, noting a few new curses and at least one allusion to someone's mother and her inordinate fondness. Yep, lucky number 13. I landed behind him and walked a few paces, noting and walked a few steps to him. I landed behind him and walked a few steps up to him, noting a few new curses. I landed behind him and walked a few new steps up to him. Yeah, that sounds better. I landed behind him and walked a few steps up to him, noting a few new curses and at least one allusion to someone's mother and her inordinate fondness for stray animals. Sir, I asked, realizing he actually had not noticed me. Sir? I asked, realizing he had actually not noticed me. Sir? I asked, realizing he had actually not noticed me. I asked, realizing he had actually not noticed me. I asked, realizing he had actually not noticed me. The stallion kicked instantly, his hooves grazing my face in a motion that was astonishingly fast. Oh gosh, astonishing. Astonishingly fast. Oh my gosh. The stallion kicked instantly, his hooves grazing my face in a motion that was astonishingly fast. Astonishingly that was astonishingly fast. Astonishing. Yes, that's Thorax's OC. Oh man, have you seen the picture that someone made of Thorax, and he has like a crayon coloring of Crystal Hooves. And he's like, "This is my pony Sona. His name's Crystal Hooves." And it's just so adorable. The stallion kicked instantly, his hooves grazing my face in a motion that was astonishingly fast. Astonishingly fast. Astonishingly fast. I cut myself off. It's so good. I wish I saved it though, because I haven't been able to find it again. The stallion kicked instantly, his hooves grazing my face in a motion that was astonishingly fast. What in Celestia's glorious backside are you doing, Colt? Let's hope I can keep my Russian. Oh, have I not actually talked with Roughshod yet? I haven't talked with Roughshod yet, so this is the first time we hear him actually speak. Nice. Mind sending over DMs, and I'll just save that to my DeviantArt. If it is a DeviantArt link, if it's not, I'll just save it to my computer because it's an adorable picture. What in Celestia's glorious backside are you doing, Colt? You have to know fucking better than to sneak up on an old pony like that. Does that sound Russian enough? This sound. What in Celestia's glorious backside are you doing, Colt? You have to know fucking better than to sneak up on an old pony like that. He's turning. He's getting an accent. No, I just want him to be Russian. I don't want him to have Zamir's accent. Everyone's going to have Zamir's accent by the end of this. Zamir, the ultimate changeling queen. Oh, that guy, Admiral Armstrong. or whatever his title is, but Armstrong. Oh, he's so good. I just mainly want to have him in a Russian accent, so he's not confused with Bold when I eventually get to Bold. Or Big Mac. Big Mac is just going to be kind of like Bold, except just a little bit deeper. Oh, Jacket. I haven't watched Full Metal Jacket, so I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that scene. Man, I've seen that scene so many times, but I've never actually seen the movie, but yes, I know what character you're talking about now. Although, I just need him to have a different accent, so people aren't just like, when I'm talking about Bold and Big Mac, they're like, wait, is that Is that Iron? Is that Roughshod? Because especially if Roughshod happens to stumble back into the story at one point, I don't want that confusion. Especially if Bold and Roughshod get into a conversation, that's going to be terrible if they have almost the same voice.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I figured it was going to be something like that. Why does YouTube have to load up the chat every time? Like, comment by comment. It's so slow, especially when you have so many comments to go through. I guess Bolt is a lot more chill. I mean, he definitely reminds me of either Armstrong or that one dude from Castle in the Sky. Like, oh yeah, Bold's old co-workers at at the, I don't know, the Prancing Pony or whatever, or what that strip club he was in. I know he probably has a very specific voice, and I hope I'll be able to do it justice by the time we get there. Yay, thank you. Tom and Jerry's. I'm surprised no one's named like a bar or a strip club like the Prancing Pony yet. Why is there a dog barking? I'm recording. No one's allowed to bark or rev their engines while I'm recording. Okay. So I just have to do a light Russian accent just to make Bold's sound little more threatening, little louder, as well as give me some room to pronounce other characters' voices. To pronounce other characters' voices once they appear in the chapter, as once they appear into story. Oh man, I hope my neighbors don't get too mad about me yelling in a semi-Russian voice with a little bit of no motorcycles. I'm trying to record. Oh man. What in Celestia's glorious backsides means are you doing, Cut? There we go. I have to do this in a louder tone. I have to do this louder. What in Celestia's fucking backside's name are you doing, young Cut? Nah, he doesn't say young. And I... What in... Yep, and that reaches the top end of my recording. So, man... What in Celestia's glorious backside are you doing, Cut? Man, Roughshod has like almost as good of exclamations that Little Pip does. No, not the Sky Pirate father. The miner. Like the big buff dude in the mining community, where they just like show off in one scene of the movie where how strong they are, that one gang and the miners, and he just rips buttons down his shirt while he shreds his shirt. and that's what I think about when I hear Bold. That's the guy who I think about, because he's not because Bold isn't as eccentric as Armstrong, but he does do the thing where he's popping the rivets off of his armor, which I laughed for like so long when I got to that part of the story. I'm like, this is beautiful, it's just beautiful. What in glorious, what in Celestia's glorious backside's name are you doing, Colt? We have to know bucking better than to stand up to an old pony like that. We have to. You have to know bucking better than to sneak up on an old pony like that. You have to know bucking better than to sneak up on an old pony like that. He's starting to get Zamir's accent. No, they all have Zamir's accent. What in Celestia's glory? I have glory. Glorious backside. What in Celestia's glorious backside are you doing, Colt? You have to know bucking better than to sneak up on an old pony like that. What in Celestia's glory... What in Celestia's... Oh, man. What in Celestia's glorious backsides are you doing, Colt? I have to know bucking... no. I have to know... No, I have to know bucking better than to sneak up on me like that. What in glorious... in Soviet Equestria. The sand bucks you. What in Celestia's glorious backside's name are you doing, Colt? You have to know bucking better than to sneak up on an old pony like that. What in Celestia's glorious backside's name are you doing, Colt? You have to know bucking better than to sneak up on an old pony like that. How does that sound? Sounds good? I think this is the first time we hear the stallion actually talk. The scowl he leveled at me felt like it should have burned off my false fur. The scowl he leveled at me felt like it should have burned off my false... The scowl he leveled at me felt like... The scowl he leveled at me felt like it should have burned off my false fur. The scowl he leveled at me felt like it should have burned off my false fur. He just calmly takes it in. And where have you been? No, been. Where have you been? And where have you been? Zanzibar. Zamer thought that you had wandered off into the desert again, like a sun-addled idiot. Well, he did. In Zamer. In Soviet Russia. What inglorious. And where have you been? And where have you been? I don't know. In Soviet Russia. Oh. And where have you been? He goes total Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper. And where have you been? Now that's an accent. That's the mayor's. And where have you been? The mayor thought you have wandered into desert again, like some adult idiot. Into desert again. Because that's what Russians do. They just cut off like a few words that they don't need. And where have you been? What in Celestia's glorious backside? And And where have you been? The mayor thought you wandered into the desert again, like a sun-addled idiot. And where have you been? The mayor thought you wandered into the desert again, like a sun-addled idiot. I took a slow breath. I took a slow breath, glad the pony had missed. I took a slow breath, glad the pony had missed. I took a slow breath, glad the pony had missed. Changeling or not, disguise or not, 2 hooves to the snouse. 2 hooves to the schnauzer. 2 hooves to the 2 hooves to the snout. To the snout. 2 hooves to the snout would have been very likely to shatter any composure I had. 2 hooves to the snout would have been very likely to shatter any composure I had. Well, I had, sir, wandered off last night. I was unwell. Well, I had, sir, wandered off last night. I hadn't even considered a good explanation for my disappearance. How did the gatherers even manage this? I was unwell. Well, I was unwell. I was unwell. I was unwell. The stallion glared at me, dark eyes hard for a long moment before softening, if only slightly. Technically, I'd be ending the stream in like 7 minutes, but we're so close. We're so close. We're going to power through these last few paragraphs, and hopefully, accent will stand longer than that. Too many ponies, too much bucking noise, eh? It gets to you. Sometimes you just want to walk off and let the night have you. Then the silence gets to you, lets you think, or makes you, and then you're back to vaunting noise. Too many ponies. Too much. My mic is crackling. That was such a good take, too. Too many ponies. Too much bucking noise, eh? It gets to you. Sometimes you just want to walk off and let the night have you. Then the silence gets to you, lets you think, or makes you. And then you're back to vaunting noise. Too many ponies. Too much bucking noise, eh? It gets to you. Sometimes you just want to walk off and let the night have you. Then the silence gets to you, lets you think, or makes you. And then you're back to vaunting noise. Yay! He sighed, offering me his little bottle again, which I declined adamantly. He sighed, offering me his little bottle again. Bottle. His little bottle. Who's doing construction? Oh my gosh! Who's like drilling next door? I don't know if you guys can hear it. What is going on? I've never had this much noise in my apartment before. He sighed. He sighed, offering me his little bottle again, which I declined adamantly. Suit yourself. Suit yourself. When you find what you are looking for out there, Suit yourself. Wunderbar. Wunderbar. Suit yourself. Suit yourself. You find what you are looking for out there? Or am I going to have to trudge out here looking for you every few days until we reach civilization? Suit yourself. You find what you are looking for out there? Or am I going to have to trudge out here looking for you every few days until we reach civilization? It just sounds like a more gravelly version of Wasta. Suit yourself. You find what you are looking for out there? Or am I going to have to trudge out here looking for you every few days until we reach civilization? Suit yourself. Suit yourself. Suit yourself. You find what you are looking for out there? Or am I going to have to trudge out here looking for you every few days until we reach civilization? Suit yourself. You find what you are looking for out there? Or am I going to have to trudge out here looking for you every few days until we reach civilization? I found something, I think. But yes, a little time to myself would help. I found something, I think. But yes, a little time to myself would help. He nodded, mulling this over. You tell Sansamel. You tell Zamela next time. She doesn't leave a thing half done, and she won't upstart. You tell Zamel next time. She doesn't leave a thing half done, and she won't half start something. You apologize for her to this. Man, talking in fake accents is hard. He's in Soviet Russia. You tell the man. Dog barking? No. What is going on? Oh. What is happening in my apartment complex? Is it just like everyone saves their noise up just so they can do it while I'm recording? Because I don't know, because you said you already can't hear, but I think I might get pick up on my recording software while I'm editing this next time. You tell... No. Shut up. Shut up. I don't do this often, but when I do, I need you to shut up. Thank you. You tell the man next time. She doesn't leave a thing half done, and she won't half start something. You apologize to her for this. Mother hen thinks you're all her chicks. Found another one. Thinks you are all... like when you read it out as you are all her chicks, it makes sense. But when you just read it, thinks you are all her chicks. If we take out all, it makes sense. Mother hen thinks you're her chicks. Mother hen thinks you're chicks. You are her chicks. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure this out eventually. Oh no. Go back. We're almost done. We're almost done. Power through this. Mother hen thinks you're all her chicks. You tell the man next time. She doesn't leave a thing half done, and she won't half start something. You apologize to her for this. Mother hen thinks you're all her chicks. I frowned, perplexed. She's not a bird, sir. It's another bucking figure of speech. Now get moving. Caravan has already started, and Stave has some new slop for us. Weren't for the fact that you got Wasta and Bilberry to do some honest work for a change, I'd be still bucking irritated with you. And he completely lost his accent. Oh, man. It's a bucking. I have to do this from the throat. It's another bucking figure of speech. Now get moving. Caravan's already started, and Stave has some new slop for us. Weren't for the fact that you've got Wasta and Bilberry doing some honest work for a change, I'd still be bucking irritated with you. It's another bucking figure of speech. Yeah, it sounds Russian enough. The waves of irritation, annoyance, anger, and relief flowed off the pony made me question that assessment. The waves of irritation, annoyance, anger, and relief flowing off the pony made me question that assessment, but together we turned around and started at a brisk trot back towards the ponies I knew, my temporary home, and food. I would still have to leave, of course. This could not last. My temporary home, and food. I would still have to leave, of course. This could not last. I had made too many mistakes. I had to escape before I failed one more time. Too many. I would still have to leave, of course. This could not last. I had made too many mistakes. I had to escape before I failed one time too many and revealed myself, and I would, but not today. See, it certainly fits with the old war pony. And it does fit with some of the things he says, eh? Today I went home to a small tent with a small wagon with a scallion. That sounds familiar. Oh, that's a fruit. It's a plant. A scallion. Today I went home to a small tent with a small wagon, with a stallion gruffly grumbling about grown ponies wandering about playing in the sand like small foals, and Today I went home to... See, I knew it'd grow on you. And if he doesn't show up in the story again... No harm, no foul. If he does, then he would actually have something to make him different from everyone else. Today I went home to a small tent with a small wagon, with a stallion gruffly grumbling about grown ponies wandering about the... Today I went home. Why voice crack? Why voice crack? Today I went home. Today I went home to a small tent with a small wagon. Today I went home to a small tent with a small wagon, with a stallion gruffly grumbling about grown ponies wandering around playing in the sand like small foals, and the desert beginning to bloom around us. It was temporary, and it wouldn't last. But for now, I would be Sandy, and maybe I'd be happy with that. Two contractions! Last sentence bumped it up to 15. Today I went home to a small tent with a small wagon, with a stallion gruffly grumbling about grown ponies wandering around playing in the sand like small foals, and the desert beginning to bloom around us. It was temporary, and it would not last, but for now I would be Sandy, and maybe I would be happy with that. I mean, you say he thinks that, and avoiding them in speech, but for the most part, people talk how they how they think, you know. Like, I get that's in his head and whatnot, but at the same time, it just doesn't make sense to him. Just yeah, like I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, with what we know about Idol, yeah, as a guard he tries to be more proper, but even when he's first leaving the hive, he doesn't know about. He probably doesn't even know about contractions, to be honest. And I could forgive after the time skip when he's been a guard for when he's after the decade time skip, then I'll let contractions back into his mind because he's been around ponies enough to understand what contractions are and probably slip into and become more native at that point. But for right now, he's not really even a native speaker, to be honest. But what he does know, it's just kind of conflicts for as of right now. But in later chapters, yeah, I will stop counting contractions as typos. But since that would fit with him adapting to pony society, but right now he doesn't really know about pony society. But yeah, we managed to finish that whole chapter in only 8 minutes after the hour. So it all worked out in the end. But I still get a crack out of what I set up for the stream of you just glaring at the typo counter. While the cover could just be more seen as me smirking, just having fun with the typo counter as well. But yeah, total typo count for this chapter is 15, and 15 is the number of the count. But with that in mind, I will be ending. I will see you next week for Chapter 6 of Changeling of the Guard, where I believe he meets Daring Do, Awizodal, as well as Topaz. And this will be a fun chapter to read for all of us. But with that in mind, I will see you next week. Bye.